Today on the show, we're talking to Neil Swart. And Neil is the kind of owner, chef, proprietor, one of the forces behind Belly of the Beast, which is kind of my favorite restaurant that I never went to, except that I did the other day. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining me on the show.
Thanks for finally inviting me.
It's taken a while, man. It's taken a while. And not for lack of trying, because I constantly refer Belly of the Beast as one of my favorite, but it's, as I say, it's the favorite place I've never been to. Yeah. But I've read every review. I love what you and Anoushka do. And today in the show, we're talking only to half of Belly of the Beast in Kalyun. We're talking to Anoushka in another chat about Kalyun, because that's her passion, right?
Talking to the prettier half now.
You see, exactly. And I mean, as we were joking before, like when I left the modeling trade, I let myself go a little. And it seems, possibly you did as well. Welcome to the show. I want to just get into we've got a new format, and we're asking a bunch of set questions so that our listeners can locate themselves in like how the show works and what they're going to learn from it, right? So beginnings is important. And I understand that you started out your kind of journey into kitchens at a hotel school.
I did, yeah. Only because I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I was not a good student at school.
Okay.
I don't know many chefs that were good students, but I guess it's a bit different nowadays. People from a young age, they know about chefing and stuff, so they aim to do that.
They prepare, and they learn how to count lettuces.
Exactly. I had no idea what I was going to do.
Right.
So
I mean, had you had an interest in cooking before?
So I always joke and say I grew up in the kitchen, not cooking, just looking for stuff to eat, and that's really true. From a young age, I was just a hungry kid.
Okay.
And, apparently, my mom was on way less when she was expecting me, so I kind of blame her.
That could be it. Because what do you have? Don't you have to eat like cream cheese and crackers?
Something like that. Yeah.
Damn, okay, that's wrong.
Yeah, so born hungry, so always in the kitchen, just looking for stuff to eat. So I wasn't drawn to cooking. I just later figured out, I guess I need to learn how to cook, because that's just easy.
I mean, at some point, someone in your family is going to go mark itself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And which hotel school did you go to?
So I grew up in Pretoria.
Okay.
And after school, as I said, I had no idea what I was going to do, and my parents kind of gave me an ultimatum and said, in 2 weeks' time, you're going to tell us what you're going to do.
Is this?
Yeah, and I had a girlfriend back then, and she was enrolled at the Capital Hotel School to go and study hotel management that next year.
Okay.
And I thought, that sounds easy enough. I can do that. That's literally how I got there. And when I walked in there, they have these two courses, the hotel management and the professional cookery. And I met all these chefs.
Okay.
And I was like, that's what I want.
That's what. Yeah. But is it because of the chefs that you met, or because they had fridges full of food?
Both. But they were just cool people. Chefs there. And so
chefs are cool people. They're interesting.
Most of them are,
yeah.
So I met the second years and the third year students there, and they just like cool people and confidence of a chef, Yeah. I was like, that's what I want to do.
When was that? What kind of year?
Some trick 2005, so 2006 I messed around for a year, 2007.
2007. And had that thing of chefs covering themselves in ink started? Is that why you thought they were cool?
No, not maybe it just started.
Yeah. Okay. And from there, I know that you found your way into Michael Broughton's kitchen at Terroir. Right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because that was a win.
That was everything. So I did hotel management, and it's a 2-year diploma, and then went overseas a little to go and mess around.
Yeah.
But I knew I was coming down to Cape Town to study chefing down here.
Okay.
So I did professional cooking down here at Backsburg.
Okay, the one stage, huh?
Yeah, it was called PCA, Culinary Academy. And as a placement, I ended up at Terroir. And I owe a lot to Michael. Like, that's where I learned everything about cooking and tasting. He's a good sommelier, and he put me on that section when I was quite young still, and I learned a lot from it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, Michael, and at some stage I'm going to get to talk to him on the show. I have to kind of snipe at the big names, and salt them through. But Michael has a very particular reputation as someone who is extremely particular. Like he'll work obsessively on a dish until it's perfectly right.
Oh, yeah.
Did he drive you guys like that as well?
He did, yeah. We still talk about him and think about it when we design a dish. He was always talking about checking all the boxes.
Yes.
So the colors, the textures, the tastes, like all those boxes, you need to tick them.
Yeah.
And we still do that today.
And he's very classically sort of
Yeah.
trained, classically driven chef, right?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. But that doesn't really come through in Belly of the Beast.
It's in the background.
So that's it, isn't it? It's in the background.
We simplified things. So back working at Terroir, there's a lot of ingredients on the plate back then. You know,
Yes.
because that's what chefs did back then.
Exactly, yeah.
And myself and Anoushka always spoke about back then because I met Anoushka.
Okay, so that's what I was going to get to. So you met Anoushka in that
I
kitchen.
met her in that kitchen. I also met my wife there. She was the restaurant manager at Terroir.
It's a very incestuous little industry.
It is. I know many friends of mine are married
to
like
people
Terroir
that
people that come from Terroir. Yeah?
Yeah. But also the thing is that a lot of people either meet in chef school, carry on, they go to different restaurants, then they get back together, or they meet their love in the kitchen.
Who else do you socialize with?
Well, and also it's a pressure cooker. I mean, you learn people so well when you're working like shoulder to shoulder in service under pressure, right?
In normal people, care, then we're working, and then when they go to bed, then we care.
Yeah,
so
then
you
yeah.
meet your better half.
No. And also really meet them, really get to see what they're like under pressure. Yeah, interesting. What was the kind of impetus that got you out of Terroir?
The what's the right word? No, I'm thinking of the misconception that you ready to open your own restaurant.
Okay, so you worked under Michael Broughton for long enough that you thought, hey, I can do this.
Yeah. The confidence of youth.
The confidence of youth. Okay, how old were you when you did that?
23.
20. Oh, I've just spoken to another young chef who's opened her own restaurant at the age of 23, and it's hard going.
It is, but I'm glad I did it
Because
I learned a lot.
you got the groundwork in. Yeah.
I learned a lot from doing that. I bumbled around overseas a little bit, so I saw different kitchens and stuff. But it's one of my regrets is not working in more kitchen as a young man. Just doing stars.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because when you start when you're 23, that's a lot of responsibility from the average, and that's it. Then there's no more stars and things. Going overseas and having a little fun at this kitchen. So that is one of my regrets, but also I don't regret it because a lot of people still need to learn a lot from like opening up your own business. It's a big learning curve, and it doesn't matter how many restaurants you work in. You need to work for yourself to learn that, I think.
To learn, look, every kitchen, every chef has their own, and in a way, a lot of people who might come out of this kitchen or that kitchen then have to kind of unlearn a whole lot of stuff because they've got to learn their new chef's way. But then you have to form your own path when you run your own shop, right? So you and Anoushka, did you both leave together to have a go, or did you leave first? How did that?
She left before me. She went to Wilderness. Somebody gave her an opportunity there to run a restaurant.
Okay.
And she did that. And I went to the northern suburbs and opened arugula.
So I never knew about arugula, but in the background reading for this chat, I heard about what was arugula about?
That was a neighborhood eatery.
Okay.
So we did like burgers and things, simple food, but just, like I took what I learned at Terroir and really broke it down into simple food with the same quality ingredients and cooking methods, and really tried to do a neighborhood eatery.
Because looking at some of the background reading I did on you for this, it comes up again and again that you are not anti-fine dining, but you feel that food could be simpler. That it's
I don't like the word fine dining.
Yeah, you don't like the word. There we go. Okay.
Because there's no other word. I think that's the thing. So if it puts a label on it, say this is fine dining.
Yeah.
If it's not fine dining, then what is it?
I mean, I've heard the term elevated dining.
Sure.
What's the difference? Yeah.
Back at Arugula, I used to call it family fine food. That was a little term that I used, but
And how did arugula go?
it was the most successful restaurant that didn't make any money. It was a really busy restaurant.
Yeah.
But like as I said, I was young, so you make mistakes. I think our rental was way too high there.
And your pricing,
You don't have that confidence to price things as you should.
and also a lot of when you start out, you go, okay, I paid R5 for this, I need whatever percentage on this, and then you completely forget that there's rent and this and staff and lights, and then what happens if the gas runs out and so you don't even have a formula to apply to your costing, right?
And then they come to you every second month and say you must pay this much VAT, and you're like, and then you say, what is VAT exactly?
But the thing is that was like a learning curve for you guys. Taught you everything because you open a shop, you're too young, you're like sweating at night.
And look, it ran itself for we were open for 6 or 7 years, and it ran itself. So it wasn't like a terrible business, but it wasn't I lived off it, and it wasn't It was a very busy shop. We were full every night, but it wasn't a great financial
success. So it's not like, I mean, where did you get the helicopter from?
I stole that.
No, you sold. Had to sell it to run the shop. But okay, and through Arugula, at some point you connected with Anoushka again, and
actually, so when she heard I was opening up a restaurant,
yes,
me and Anoushka got along at Terroir right off the bat. So we like the same music, our palates are very similar, and so on. So we used to go out to Bohemia afterwards and just bring Black Label and talk about music.
Yeah.
And then she went to Wilderness, and she phoned me one day and said, I heard you're opening up a restaurant. Can I come work for you? And then I said, because I was so young or stupid, I said, well, yeah, send me your CV. And we put the phone down. And a few seconds later, I picked up the phone and said, don't worry about the CV. I know you got the job. So she was the sous chef. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And I was the chef. Chef
because you were in charge.
I was in charge.
You were in charge. Because you were?
Exactly.
And what? I mean, 6 years in Arugula at the best restaurant that's never made any money. When did you start talking about belly, or was there a jump? Because didn't you do a couple of pop-ups?
So I went to Blitz for a little bit, and we did a Arugula there.
Okay.
Was there for about 2 years. Then came back. So then Anoushka ran Arugula.
Okay.
I was in Blitz.
Okay.
I came back, but from the start at Arugula, it was a neighbourhood restaurant. So we had our menu, and we couldn't really change the menu anymore because you have your regular customers coming in.
And they won't let you take things off.
No, if you take something off, they're upset.
You're done. Yeah.
So you can't just keep adding.
Yeah.
So it became boring. So we did these monthly food and wine pairings with a new menu.
To challenge yourself.
Exactly. So every month, a new wine farm would choose them and work with them with their wines and come up with a brand new menu for that night. We loved doing it.
Okay.
And that's where the idea started forming, and be like, why don't we just do this every night? And then we knew we didn't want to be in the bones for that, so we wanted to come to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And that's where Belly of the Beast sort of started.
So you said that you couldn't be in the burbs to do what you wanted to do. Yeah. And one of the other things that I've read about you and Anoushka is that you're both pretty dedicated to kind of urban regeneration. And you opened in Harrington Street, and you anchored one end of Harrington Street with Belly at a time when this was kind of the forgotten precinct of the city.
Yeah.
Intentional?
By chance.
Oh, completely by chance.
We were looking all over Cape Town for
place.
So we have the concept, and we're like, where are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And we went to look at so many places, and it's just not right. Then we find a place that's right for us, and then it'll fall through, and something better would come along, and things would change. And then I just had a friend who was friends with the girl who ran Raptor. I don't know if you know.
I remember Raptor. I actually came there.
So that's the same building.
It's around the corner. No, it's the same building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just heard of this man that has a building and has a space that he wants to let out.
Can I tell you something? That the lines of convergence happen again. Round the corner in Ruland Street, the entrance next to the building next to Raptor Room is where my first photographic studio in Cape Town was, on the 5th floor. And then they built this big building here in my lot.
So,
It's amazing.
in 79 Reland Street.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. I hadn't made that connection. Wow. Okay. And so you knew the person who's running the Rapture room, so you spoke to them and got this.
Yeah, through a
place.
friend that knows her, I got the number of the landlord, the owner of the building. And I spoke to him directly, and we came to look at the place, and it was a motorbike workshop.
That's right. Yes.
Mike Hopkins, I think. And it was empty,
Yeah.
and there was a layer of oil on the floor like this, but it was a blank canvas, and that's all we wanted. It was a square room.
Yeah.
And that's what we like. We don't like corners and things. So we always build an open kitchen. We want to see everyone.
Okay, because that is the thing about you, is that you build an open kitchen. And the other day when you were kind enough to invite me to lunch, and I was watching the whole thing, and I was watching the team operate in that kind of galley style kitchen. It was amazing the whole interaction.
So it's less about that and more about us being able to see you.
To see and to watch when you're ready for the next thing,
Everything
how you're
just,
reacting.
Like there's the communication between front of house and back of house is so clear.
Yeah,
We have an open kitchen like that.
absolutely.
As you can see, everything's going on.
Everything is going on. So let's talk about the menu. So you reject, you don't like the term fine dining. You're presenting fascinating kind of combinations and ingredients in really interesting ways. Where's that influence from? Because that's not Michael Broughton. Where does that come from?
So it always stems from nostalgia of most of our menus.
Okay.
So me and Anoushka very much, we both grew up in families that love food.
Okay.
So we very often start there. It's like remembering something from our childhood that we ate, and just like bringing it into 2025. You know, that's what we like. So it's South African flavors and ingredients, and just presented in a different way.
And I mean, I like the use of grains, the sorghums, that those sorts of things. How do people respond to that?
Very good. I think.
Yeah, because you guys have pretty much been full since shortly after you opened. Once the word got out.
We had sleepless nights opening belly. What if nobody comes?
What if it's got?
Yeah. It's only 28 seats and people don't have any options.
20? Is it still 28 seats at Delhi?
It's really yeah. So we can do 30 at a
You could do
stretch.
okay, because I think that you can do 30 at a stretch, and it's very intimate, very connected, and you're constantly engaging with your team, right? And telling stories. But if you were to, this is one of the form questions from the new format. If you were to identify one recipe, one item on the menu, or something that recurs, that you would say, this talks to who we are at Belly of the Beast, what would that dish be?
A dish or an ingredient.
A dish or an ingredient, talk or how you would incorporate it into dishes. You
If
didn't
it's
do your homework.
No, because it says dish, but you said ingredient.
Ingredient. Okay, I did say ingredient, so I confused.
Rewind back.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I'll be warm.
Um,
I'll cut that bit out.
if I can pick one ingredient, and I know Anoushka might, she'll agree with me. We lamb people, not lamb necessarily. We sheep people.
Sheep people.
Yeah. So
So a
Weird
weird time. Yeah. How did I know you're going to go there? Because of the flavor, because it develops. It's amazing. Yeah.
So we
And it's why a mutton curry is always so amazing
Delicious.
compared to a lamb curry. Yeah.
so we get done mostly from Bertie, from Neverland,
Neverland.
Frieskamp.
Priester, yeah.
So the lamb comes directly from him, or the tweetan, and then we do the whole animals. So we cycle through them in the menu. So
Okay.
we'll use today everyone's eating shanks in the restaurant. Tomorrow's everyone's eating loins, or half the restaurant will be eating loin, and the other half will be eating shoulder or whatever. But it's whatever's hanging in the fridge.
Okay. And because also the thing is that you definitely are whole beast people.
Yeah.
And that, I suppose that's what Belly of the Beast hints at, or where did that name
Yes,
come from?
Okay, the name. I'll tell you about the name now. Just the whole beast I like. So we're moving away a little bit from the nose to tail
Nose to tell, yeah.
words, because people only expect the nose and the tail thing. People expect they're only going to get
It's so
kidneys.
funny, isn't it?
waffles,
You see,
like, wait a
exactly.
minute, there's a lot of between the nose and the tail.
Yeah.
The whole animal there.
And there's some good stuff there too. You don't
Exactly.
just have to eat chicken hearts
Exactly.
and gizzards.
Yeah. So the name is, again, we had the concept. We didn't have a space or a name for it.
Yeah.
And one of the places we looked at was in Church Square. It was a tiny little room with a staircase going down. And when we were standing there, we were planning the kitchen will be down there. So the dining room will be up here, and you can look down into the belly of the beast. And then the name just stuck from there because it worked with the concept.
Having said that, and talking about the name coming from people being able to look down into the kitchen, or people being sort of almost incorporated into your kitchen because you can see everything that's going on and you can watch them. What's the experience you want people to have, and from the point of view of the atmosphere of the shop and the restaurant? What do you feel that you're bringing people to experience?
I just want people to have a lekker South African experience. So that comes from like the warmth and hospitality that we as South Africans have, but also the food. Like if somebody comes from overseas and says, "Where can I go to experience what South African cuisine is?"
Yes.
Or like South African ingredients, where can I go eat? I want people to say, "Go to Benjamin's." That's an experience. You're gonna get some lamb offal there from.
Sweet breads or whatever it is.
Tongue with mustard sauce.
Yes,
All that.
yeah.
Right. So I think that's what we want with a lekker experience.
And for you and Anoushka both, that experience comes out of your experience as South Africans.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that completely. The team. Okay, so the interaction with the team. So I've been having a lot of conversations recently where people are like, "Oh, if another person spends 5 minutes explaining the whole dish to me again," and I agree, only because where it used to be that the host or the chef would come to you and say, "Listen, I've spoke to the farmer, he got me this quail, he raised a quail like this, they eat this, and I've decided to cook it because he lives on a river and the river's the same name as my child." Whatever, it would be a personal thing, right? And then as that becomes a trend, people teach their staff how to say that from a script, right? I didn't feel that at Bevy, okay, at all. I felt that the people who were talking to me about what I was eating knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
How did you build that in the team?
So I think our menu change is a big one.
Yeah.
So when we change our menu, we close the restaurant for a day. When we do our tasting, that'll be 2 weeks before we change the menu.
Okay.
So we close the whole shop for a day. Everyone comes in, from the cleaners to the waiters, everyone. And we cook the whole menu, and we make a long table, and we sit down, and we eat that menu start to finish. And we have about 30 wines on the table, and we discuss and fight and argue until we can pick a wine for each dish. So we have
It's a really robust way of doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is we don't do theoretical wine pairings, we do a practical wine pairing.
Yeah.
So at least 5 people around this table agree this is the wine for that dish. And that gives you real confidence in serving that wine with the dish.
Yeah.
And to get to your question, it gives the waiters confidence in explaining that dish because they were involved in that dish, because we make changes from there, and they get a say.
So they get to say, "Oh, I don't like this because it's too acid, or
Exactly.
there's a bit salty, or why wouldn't you?" And when I was a kid, I used to eat it like this. Really?
Yeah.
Because I got a very real sense that the people that every single person who introduced a dish to me knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were talking about, whereas very often it's like almost reading off the crib notes, There's a section now in the show called Watch List, and it's about who you think, who my guest thinks is really killing you at the moment. Who's cooking stuff that you're like, "Oh, I wish I did that," or the kind of place that you think everyone should be queuing outside at the moment. Who is that for you? Okay, well, there's a lot of talent in this town, so you can have a couple.
So Musi
Lawful.
He does really important things and tells those African stories with these dishes, and I think people should be
queuing up
to eat it and to listen to the stories.
Couldn't agree more with you. Who else?
I just, I watched his uh, episode with you, and he mentioned everyone except for me, Andrew from Frankie Fenner. So I thought I just mentioned him.
Yeah, just to get him back.
Just
Yeah,
to get him in, yeah.
put a
No,
knife in there.
no, because I think we all need to eat better meat.
We do, and Andrew Nelson, legendary.
He nails it.
He totally does.
He just needs to turn down the amount of food that he serves.
Is it?
It's just funny coming from me, but I've told him before, because when you walk out of there, you are finished.
Is it?
And don't fall for the biltong, like most delicious biltong platters when you arrive.
Yeah.
Don't fill up on that because there's a lot of good food coming.
Okay, I'll take your advice on that. So, off duty, where are you going to eat? Where do you take your wife out? Yeah, for
Yeah, we went to potluck last week, and I couldn't fault a thing there. It's
Jason
everything, yeah.
Cosmos.
From the cocktails
Yeah.
to every dish we had.
One of
we
my
had a lot
favorite
of dishes.
Yeah,
That's must be one of my favorites.
yeah, so legendary place. Okay, so the last little thing I'm going to ask you is your comfort food. And like my kind of comparison is a good one that came out of Marco Cardoso from the Aircom.
Yeah.
He loves bovril on brown bread.
No, really?
Yeah, and I identify with that because I like bovril on toast with banana.
That's weird.
That's weird, eh?
Yeah.
But I love it. What's yours? Apart from lamb.
Yeah, lamb is life. That's
Lamb is life.
Like he always says, yeah.
Yes.
In your little sheet, you call it a secret.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little secret that I have. And it's nothing weird like that, but my secret that I'll air here is sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes, I'll tell the team at Bailey that I'm working at Khalid. And I'll tell the team at Khalid that I'm working at Bailey. But where I really am is sitting at Dia's Tavern by the bar with a friend of mine. And then we order two things, the Joey special,
Yeah.
which is drink chowder and calamari with chips.
Yes.
And then we take a half chicken, peri, or half chicken or a baby chicken with rice. And then they put it all on a platter for us. And then we sit there and we drink beer and we eat that. And it's one of the best things you can do.
You know what? I don't get to Diaz enough. And when we lived in town in Ops, it was a regular. And it's fantastic. I need to go again. That's a good shout.
Yeah, it's just down the road.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So it's in your precinct.
It is.
Neil Swart, Belly of the Beast. I love the restaurant. And finally, I've eaten at the restaurant and I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Amazing chatting to you. And if you want to book in a truly South African elevated dining experience, book Belly of the Beast, but rush because it's often very fully booked and it's a fantastic restaurant. Thanks for joining me, Chef.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chef.
Cheers.